Kanjaka Nate Honda Galadek Dana Ditala Legion Milas Kandizane Taska Kamara Kanjak Nagadwitandas Karanani Garniga Kanjak Danitain Tage Garniga Dana Ditala Legion Milas Kandizane Taska Kamara Yankinaha Nagadwitandas Karanani Garniga Yankinaha Danitain Tage Garniga Dana Ditala Legion Milas Kandizane Taska Kamara Anagnas Nagreitandas Kadanani Ganika Anagnas Danitain Tage Ganika Dana Jita Legion Horas Kandizane Taska Kamara Oahi Nagreitandas Kadanani Ganika Oahi Danitain Tage Ganika.
You start off by giving thanks to Mother Earth. And when we do this opening in our ceremonies, and elders do it, sometimes it's an hour. Because basically you're telling a creation story and you're giving thanks. Children look at the world that way. They look at the world in its purest sense. And they see what adults are doing. And they see the behavior. And that's what they absorb. So when we're teaching our children this opening, that's what we're teaching them, is to look at the universe in the way that the Creator gave to us. So that's what he acknowledges: the waters, the strawberries, the medicines, our food sustenance, the animals, the trees, the birds, and all of creation the way we know it. That's what we do in the Longhouse. When somebody does that, is we say "oh," and that means "yawako." That means thank you. And we're giving thanks for everything the Creator gave to us, including ourselves. And so that's what he said. And so we were to grade him. He got 100% this morning. And really proud of him. Yawako. I think what I'm hearing is how do we relate to communities, not just ours, but all the Hungwe communities. And in our area, we have Ojibways, we have Haudenosaunee, and we have Lenape, the Delawares. And so one of the things that we're trying to do in our communities is to remind ourselves of what our grandfathers done, and that's what this symbol is. Mohawks, Oneidas, Onondagas, Cayugas, and Senecas. And at that time, how we recorded things was wampum. And so people were commissioned in our nations to make these belts as a reminder of our commitment to what the peacemaker done. And what the peacemaker done is he done what his name says. He brought peace to our people. But what he also acknowledged is that there was responsibilities. And in the Confederacy and the Six Nations, what we know as the Six Nations today, or the Five Nations, is there's 50 families. So there's 50 titles. And so in our nation we have 9. In the Mohawk Nation there's 9. In the Onondaga Nation there's 14 families. And in the Cayuga Nation there's 10. And in the Senecas there are 8. Peace, power, and righteousness. That means that we're going to have peace within ourselves and within our neighbors and everything of creation. And power, the way we say it in our language is Kahlejalunsla. And Kahlejalunsla means encouragement. And this one here is the Oneida Belt. In the Oneida Belt, there is 6 of those diamonds. And that represents the Confederacy. And this belt was commissioned after the Revolution. Joseph Brant was really close to the British. So he wanted the Confederacy to side with the British because he thought he had a deal to protect our Confederacy. And so when that happened, the chiefs of our Confederacy said they were going to stay neutral. And they did. But the warriors, the young men, because of the influence of Joseph Brant, he got all the young men involved in that war. And so when the war was over, the chief said, That was not a good thing to happen. That it was not our fight. And so this belt was commissioned by our people, by our chiefs. And this was taken to Grand Council in Onondaga. And our chief said, we have to remember who we are as Haudenosaunee. We are the Six Nations. Of course, this is the Turo. The Turo was made with the Dutch, the French, and the English. We had been in contact already for over 100 years. And what our grandfathers realized is that we didn't look at the world the same way. And so when settlers came into in our areas, we basically took care of them, we fed them, we got them to know the land, we got them to know when to plant and everything, how to do their orchards. And we basically helped people get settled in our areas. But as it became more populated, then they wanted more. That's when they made this first treaty with the Dutch. And basically it's simple. You have your road, we have ours. And we're going to go down that river of life. And we're not going to interfere in each other's way of governance, in the way that we look at the world. We're going to live in peace. And when there's problems that arise, then we'll meet to talk about those problems. And this is the one I like. This is the dish with one spoon. This is the one that was made with Ojibways for this part of the country, because before contact, this part of the country was our hunting grounds. Our grandfathers said, we got to make an agreement. And so that's when they done this dish with one spoon. And what that symbolizes that we were going to follow the law of the land that the Creator had given to us. And we're going to share the resources. We're going to fish here. We're going to get our black ash trees for making baskets. We're going to pick our medicines here. We're going to hunt. And we're going to do all that stuff here. And we're going to do it in a good way. We're going to respect each other. And the symbol of it is that at different times we're going to sit down and be reminded. And there's going to be a bowl. And we're going to use a spoon. We're not going to use a fork. We're not going to use a sharp instrument because we might injure ourselves doing that. And it was just symbolic that we're going to use this spoon and we're all going to eat from that same bowl. And that bowl is southwestern Ontario, from Ottawa into Michigan. In the midst of all of this, there's some awesome things going on where we're looking at governance of our children, governance of our health, governance of different areas that affect us on a daily basis. Because the reason we have a health problem is because we're very uneducated about who we are as Hungahungas. Ponce de Leon, when he came to Florida back when, he seen Hungahungas, he seen their people, and they said some of them were 150 years old. Some of them were almost 200 years old. And the explorers of the day at that time, they were only living to be 40, if that. They were old in their 30s because that's how diseased they were. That's how unhealthy they were because of the traveling, the scurvy, and everything that they went through in getting here. And so when they seen these people there and they're 150 years old, there's something going on here. Ponce de Leon thought that was the water that was making everybody live so long. And the older people over there, they laughed when what they were telling me. And they said the reason why they were living so long is because they were eating right. If you go to Florida, or if you go to the Southwest, you're going to find people like that are completely understanding of their part of the country, of their land. And that's how we all are. If you go up north, same thing with Ojibways. And if you go next door, some people say, well, we don't know anything anymore, we lost it. But those elders, they still know things. And so we're securing that knowledge. People are going out there and learning those things because they're important to us. And when we do that, then we can say we're educated because we understand the land. we heard the story of the three sisters, which is applicable to health and well-being. There was three sisters and they didn't get along. And I guess it's like that in all of our families. So this elder came to them and he said, well, we're really not happy because you guys don't get along and everybody sees it. So he says, I'm going to take you out to my garden. He took them out to the garden. And the way we plant corn, or the way we used to plant corn, we're doing that again, is we plant them together, the corn, beans, and squash. And symbolically, they're the three sisters in our stories. And they're the ones that nurture us. And so when we have ceremonies, we always have that. You're going to have some today, real good. Because there's a three-sister soup that they've made. And so he said, this is the way the Creator wants you to be. He wants you to get along. I want to share that with you because our food sustenance is important to us. And in our society today, I hope that the women didn't make no bread out of flour. And I hope they didn't put white sugar in the food that they prepared for you. I think they put maple sugar in there. And because that's not our diet. But in our communities, if you come to our communities, that's what a lot of people do. They make scone or they make bread, they make all the flour, everything's got sugar in it. And that's why we got diabetes. So anyways, we're relearning that and trying to get away from that and getting back to our traditional foods, which is what you're going to experience today. Yawako.